Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Dr. Nikhat Aslam from Department of Biochemistry. Today we are going to start our last topic in biochemical genetics, which is the molecular biology and its techniques. In the past, efforts to study the genes and their expression was confounded by the immense and the large size of the DNA in the human and in the eukaryotes. But today, as the techniques they have techniques are developed, and we have our complete human the sequence of human genome, and this project, the which was called the Human Genome Project, it was completed in 2003. And what it did that it sequenced all the nucleotide present in the 23 pairs of chromosomes. So the human genome, it contains 3 billion base pairs, and its sequence is present in the internet. And this 3 billion base pairs, it contains 20 to 30,000 protein coding genes. And this entire sequence, it was determined by 3 approaches, by the mainly three techniques. These are the usage of the restriction nucleases, development of cloning techniques, and using the specific probes. The first of all, restriction endonucleases. The use of restriction endonucleases helps to manage the long size of the DNA in order to get in order to get it into the, this is the restriction endonucleases. Restriction enzyme cleave the DNA into the smaller and more manageable fragments. This helps the scientist to have the DNA which is manageable, which can be manipulated into the experiments in the lab. The second is the cloning of the DNA. This helps the scientist to amplify the DNA fragments, because as we know that the amount of the DNA in the cell is very small. If we have only few cells from which we isolate the DNA, and this size, the amount of the DNA is very small, we cannot manipulate it in the lab. We have to amplify the DNA fragment artificially in our labs, and this amplification was done at that time by the cloning. And what is cloning? This is the formation of multiple similar copies of the DNA, so that we have a large amount of the DNA in order to work in the lab. The third one is the probe. Probe is a specific fragment which can be identified using a probe is a fragment which can identify specific sequence present in the DNA library. So this is a small fragment which is used to identify our DNA of interest. What is importance of DNA technology? It offers rational approach to understand the molecular basis of the diseases. Human proteins can be produced in abundance for therapy. Many of the proteins for the vaccines, they are developed by using the biotechnology techniques. For example, hepatitis B, and there are the research is going on in order to develop the different other vaccines of viral diseases. This technique is also used both to diagnose the existing diseases as well as to predict the risk of developing disease in future. Gene therapy for potentially curing disease used by a single gene deficiency, such as sickle cell disease, thalassemia, adenosine deaminase deficiency, and other may be devised. All these diseases, they can be either cured by, or we can find out what is the molecular basis of these diseases. So as well as the forensic medicine, it also use special techniques in order to find out the different causes. What are the restriction endonucleases? These are the enzymes which cleave the double-stranded DNA into the smaller and more manageable fragments. Restriction endonucleases recognize short stretches of the DNA 4 to 8 base pairs. It can recognize 4 base pair, it can recognize 6 base pair, or it can also recognize 8 base pair that contain specific nucleotide sequence. Their sequence is specific. The restriction endonucleases cannot recognize the other sequences. They have their own specific nucleotide sequence. These sequences which differ for each restriction enzymes, they are different. We have thousands of restriction enzymes and their sequence are palindromic. Palindromic sequence means this is an example of palindromic sequence. This one, when read in 5' to 3' direction, the top strand, and when read in the bottom strand, again from 5' to 3', their sequence is identical. This type of sequence in which both of the strands 5' to 3 and 3 to 5, when they are read in the 5' to 3' direction, they are similar. They are same. These sequences exhibit two-fold rotational symmetry. Their sequence in the both of the strand are identical. Restriction endonucleases, they are the natural enzyme which the scientists isolated from the bacteria. And in the bacteria, what is the purpose and what is the function of these enzymes inside the bacteria? They are naturally present in the bacteria. What they did, these enzymes, the restriction endonucleases, they restrict the expression of non-bacterial DNA through cleavage. So any of the foreign DNA which attack on the bacteria, they will be cleaved by the restriction endonucleases. So this is a type of defense mechanism which is naturally present in the bacteria in the form of restriction endonucleases. Bacterial DNA is not affected by the restriction endonucleases. So because the bacterial DNA is protected by methylation of the bases at the restriction sites, so the restriction endonucleases, they are present in the bacteria. Restriction endonucleases will not cleave its own bacterial DNA, but it will cleave other foreign DNA which will attack, for example, the viral DNA which is attacking on the bacteria. It will be protected by it will be cleaved by the restriction endonucleases. How they are named? For example, Hy3 is the third restriction endonucleases isolated from the bacterium Haemophilus aegyptius. The HAE3, it contains the 3 portions. The name of the restriction enzymes contains the 3 portions. The first letter will tell us about the genus, the second about the species, and the third about the strain. For example, this H is the genus Haemophilus, AE is obtained from the species, and the third number is the third restriction endonucleases. In this name, the third this was the third restriction endonucleases isolated from this bacteria. TAC1, this is a restriction endonucleases which recognize 4 base pair sequence TCGA, right? And when it attack on this 4 base pair sequence which is specific for the TAC1, it will produce the sticky ends. Sticky ends means they will produce the ends which have the sequences. They can form the bond with each other and they are they do not have any complementary sequence, so they are sticky to the ends. They have the sticky ends, means they can stick easily again to each other. This is the high 3, which is again can recognize the 4 bases, and when they attack on this type of the sequence, it will produce the blunt ends. They do not have the sequence which are not bonded with the complementary sequences. The blunt ends, they do not form they do not attach with its other strands, because their end are blunt, and the sticky ends, they are easily joined or covalently joined by the other sequences, which are cut by the same enzymes. A DNA sequence that is recognized and cut by the restriction enzyme is called restriction site. So these are the restriction sites. These two are the restriction site. This is the restriction site for the TAC1, and this is the restriction site for the HI3. An enzyme that recognizes a specific 4 base pair sequence produces many cuts in the DNA molecule, one after every 4 raised to power 4 base pairs. So the enzyme which recognize 4 base pairs, they form the many cuts as compared to the sequence which recognize 6 base pair sequences. They produces fewer cuts. These are some of the examples of the restriction endonucleases and their sequence they recognize. For example, this is the BAMH1. This is obtained from the bacterium Bacillus, and it recognizes the 6 base pair sequence, and also it produces the sticky ends. This is the BG3, the second one. It also produces the sticky ends. AQR1, the sticky ends. AQR2, it also produces the sticky ends. These are the other sequences and their genus and the sequences which they recognize, they are shown. In this diagram, it is shown that the formation of recombinant DNA from the restriction fragments with the sticky ends. For example, this is the DNA, the yellow one. This is the DNA of interest. The yellow sequence is the DNA of interest, which we wanted to cut and we wanted to ligate into some vector. In the next lecture, I will also explain you what are the vectors, and there are many types of the vectors. What are the types and what is their purpose? So in this way, we in this diagram, we just wanted to show how the enzymes, they produces the sticky ends, and the same enzyme which is used to produce the sticky end and the second DNA fragment, they can be ligated, they can be joined to each other. The DNA of interest, the yellow one, and the second DNA fragment, the orange one, they are cleaved by the same enzyme, by the TAC1. DNA of interest with the sticky end, they are produced by the same enzymes, and the name of the enzyme is TAC1. Cohesive ends of the two DNA fragments, they form the hydrogen bonds. Here you are seeing that the yellow fragment and the orange fragments, they form the hydrogen bonds between CG upper strand and GC the lower strand. They can be stick easily as compared to the blunt ends. Now, by using the enzyme DNA ligase, the last step, the DNA ligase. DNA ligase is the enzyme which can form the phosphodiester bonds. They form the 3' to 5' phosphodiester bonds between the fragments. So this is the way we can form the recombinant DNA by which the DNA fragments they are first cut down into the manageable forms, and then by using the enzyme DNA ligase, they can be ligated, they can be joined to any other DNA which we want. Now, what is the DNA cloning? Cloning is the formation of same copies of the DNA, multiple copies of the DNA. How they are formed? First of all, the plasmid. This is the plasmid, a circular double-stranded DNA containing the antibiotic resistance genes. It is cleaved by the enzyme EcoR1. The lower one is the cleaved plasmid. Now, the DNA which we wanted to insert it in the plasmid, it is amplified. The DNA to be amplified is cleaved by the restriction endonucleases. The same enzyme is used to cut the plasmid, and the same enzyme is used to cut the DNA of interest. And here you are seeing that the sticky ends, they are produced in the DNA of interest. Now, this DNA of interest and this cleaved plasmid, they are ligated, and the red portion is of our DNA of interest and the yellow portion is of the plasmid. So this is the hybrid plasmid. The DNA ligase covalently joins DNA fragments of the plasmid and DNA of interest, producing a recombinant DNA molecule or hybrid plasmid. Now, after this step, what will we do? We will get the bacterial cell. This bacterial cell will help to multiply, to amplify this plasmid. It will accept the plasmid here. It will accept the plasmid. The recombinant DNA is introduced into the bacteria by the technique which is called the transformation. Transformation is a process of introducing foreign DNA into the cell, if we are using the bacteria as a host, and if we are using the yeast as a host, the process is called, or the technique will called as transfection. So by the process of transformation, recombinant DNA or the hybrid plasmid is introduced into the bacteria. Now, bacteria can be easily grown. Bacteria are grown in the presence of antibiotics, thus selecting. Antibiotics are used to select for the cells containing the hybrid plasmid, which provide the antibiotic resistance. When this bacteria will multiply, our plasmid, recombinant plasmid, it will also multiply. So we will get a number of copies of our plasmid which contain our DNA of interest. Then in this step, when we have a lot of bacteria with our plasmid, these bacterial cells, they are lysed so that hybrid plasmid, they are isolated. Hybrid plasmids, they are isolated. And what is the next step? Plasmids are cut with EcoR1, the same enzyme which we used in the start of our experiment. Plasmids are cut with EcoR1, releasing many copies of the DNA of interest. So we have the amplified DNA of interest. This is called the cloning, DNA cloning. Now we can do whatever we want with this DNA. Either we wanted to proceed it with the further experiments like probing, like sequencing, or now we have, in short, we have a lot of DNA. We can save it and do different experiments with this large amount of the DNA. So this was all about for today's lecture. In the next lecture I will tell you what are the vectors and what are the different types of the vectors. Till then, best wishes. Allah Hafiz.